I want that to be set up.
So it's actual son and fake son. Like say Arnold Schwarzenegger is the baby that Ed and I were born
to the theme of Bad to the Bone.
Yes.
There we go. We just won, guys. We just figured it out. We wrote a movie.
Raising Arizona 2, Judgment Day.
Genesis.
Salvation. Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
Yes.
The excitement of walking down the aisles, browsing the names and the artwork, and finally picking out the movie you're going to take home with you. Sure, it's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch, but there was something truly special about making that trip, picking a movie out by hand, and sticking up the blockbuster with pantyhose on your head. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte, and joining me as always, two dudes who are tighter than Gale and Evel, Shaun Pryor and AJ Vance. How the heck are ya?
Pass the pomade, baby.
Brothers from other mothers, I can tell you that.
Like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover?
Yeah.
Yo.
That's a cool rap.
You like that?
Yeah.
You ever heard that rap song?
Yeah, I think you showed me. Yeah.
I showed you that?
I think so.
Outcast, baby.
Yeah.
Aquemini. No big deal.
You guys are good rapists.
Maybe we're tighter than you two are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Secretly.
I knew it.
Well, boys, on this episode, we will discuss a movie, our first Nicolas Cage film.
We're going to discuss a movie on a movie review podcast.
Let's try that again. On this episode, we're going to discuss our very first Nicolas Cage film.
Oh, my God.
A movie that sure does affect you a little differently when you just had your first child 3 months ago. The second movie written and directed by the Coen brothers and Matthew McConaughey's favorite movie.
Oh.
We are, of course, talking about 1987's Raising Arizona. And for those looking to find this movie as of the recording of this episode in early September 2022, you must purchase. However, I have a combo DVD that I forgot about, Raising Arizona and Fargo.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And it was still cellophane wrapped.
Nice.
So
There
I
you
sure
go.
as shit, I go, pulled it open and watched it.
I got my DVD out, and I thought I had the Blu-ray. I got my DVD out, popped it in, and it was cropped like crazy. And I'm like, and it was so grainy, and I was like, I cannot do this.
So you rented it?
And well, yeah. So I
Naturally.
just can't watch movies like that anymore. I refuse.
Well, in order to properly dissect and review this movie with a modern eye, we must first discuss it with pure nostalgia. AJ, start with you. Tell us the first time you saw this movie and what your nostalgic rating is. I've never seen it.
We can move on.
I knew it. I had a vibe that AJ had never seen this movie.
I've not seen this movie. I really haven't. God knows I've heard Shaun talk about it a million times, so I may as well have seen it. But no, I haven't seen it.
It's a natural reaction for you is when Sean's like, AJ, you need to watch that. You go,
dude.
yeah, I will.
Dude,
and then you just don't.
And you're like, oh, wow, that sounds super. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah,
anyway, Happy
I'm
Gilmore.
not going to do that.
You know, when you recommend me movies, it's like such a treasured thing, and I go straight home and watch them every time. You know,
I know.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I think I was going to watch this, and then Con Air was on, so I was like, this will suffice. So there was.
Ooh, I want to watch Flubber.
It's a big old N.
I feel like you like Flubber a lot.
You think I'm a Flubber guy?
You do seem like that.
You seem like that. No, it's a big old NA from AJ.
All right.
And here we are. Go for it, Shaun.
Shaun, what about you, man?
Yeah, when I first saw this, it was just in my devouring of auteur filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Scorsese or Scorsese or Scars. And then when you see one Coen brother movie, you got to see them all because their films are pretty I would say universally almost always good. Some little clunkers here and there, but I loved it when I first saw it, and I'd probably give it an 8.
8 from Shaun. I don't know that I've seen this maybe all the way through. It was always one of those movies where somebody be like, "You gotta watch it," and I would start it, and then I just it'd be 3 a.m. in college, and I'd be like, "You gotta watch this," and then I'd fall asleep. So I for the most part only remembered bits and pieces of the first half of this movie. And, it never made a big enough impression on me to want to follow up with it. So I remember thinking it was cool. And if people ask you if you've ever seen it, I'm like, oh yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I watch movies.
I really like movies. I'm gonna start a podcast.
You have a copy of Fight Club in your back pocket.
Well, I think I have 4 copies of Fight Club, but
yeah, you never leave home without 4.
So that's gonna. I'm like a 5, just in general for nostalgic. So that takes us to a 6.5 nostalgically, which is tied with Billie Jean and Speed.
Oh,
nostalgically,
wow,
Legend of Billie Jean.
Okay.
Oh, because that was my. You guys didn't have a thing.
Exactly.
All right.
So that makes a lot of sense to me.
It really does, man. Well, boys, our friends at Manscaped are back in our lives just in the nick of time.
No nicks here.
So, I just had a baby. Beautiful Willa is 12 weeks old now. The excitement and utter chaos of bringing my first child into this world, it gets pretty time consuming. Gotta admit, I stopped making time to keep my below the belt area fresh and clean.
Yeah.
But now that some action can maybe start happening again, if you know what I mean.
Cool, man.
It's officially fresh ball fall.
Woo!
Thanks, man. Thankfully, Manscaped is the leader in below the waist grooming, and they're here to make sure your pubes feel smoother than a beach ball and smell fresher than your girl's pumpkin spice.
Hey,
Start the new season the right way and join over 6 million men worldwide, including us 3 who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code CONFUSED at manscaped.com. I think personally the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 is the way to go because it's got everything you need. It's got the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer that is waterproof and has a 4000K LED spotlight on it. I heard our boy Bert Kreischer talk about how you sit on the toilet and that's how you do it because then the hair just falls in there, but it's dark in there.
Genius.
So then you can see because of the spotlight, right?
You don't want to do it in the shower because it gets clogged up, and I've done that.
But it is waterproof.
Well, yeah, the drain.
Saying.
You want to watch for the drain. Nothing happens to this razor, I swear.
And I'm getting old as shit now, so the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, it happens, guys. Hair grows in weird places, so you can use that. Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and a high-quality travel bag. Honestly, the travel bag is worth the money in itself. That is in that huge performance package, or you just go to the site, grab some of these individually, get 20% off and free shipping with code CONFUSED at manscaped.com. 20% off free shipping, code CONFUSED at manscaped.com to keep things smooth and fresh as we say sayonara to smooth ball summer and enter fresh ball fall.
Hey.
Thanks so much to Manscaped for directly sponsoring this podcast. Go support them. Next, it's time to learn all the pertinent, important details of the movie. Shaun, that is your job. Let's hear it.
Let's do it.
You.
On top of Matthew McConaughey, this is Edgar Wright's favorite film. Produced by the Coen brothers and James Jacks. Written by the Coen brothers. Cinematography by Barry Sonnenfeld. Music by Carter Burwell. Edited by Michael Miller. Directed by the Coen brothers. Cast: Nick Cage, Holly Hunter, Trey Wilson, John Goodman, William Forsythe, Sam McMurray, Francis McDormand, and Randall Tex Cobb. After their film Blood Simple, the Coen brothers wanted to make a film different from their first feature in tone, pacing, and cast. Hang on a sec here. Making it more upbeat and optimistic, they started work on Raising Arizona right away. The original idea of the script just came from the character of H.I. and his wanting to do good and be a better man within the law, and the rest flowed from there. The film was influenced by the madcap capers of Preston Sturges, as well as the writing of Flannery O'Connor and William Faulkner. I assume you guys probably haven't seen any Preston Sturges movies like Lady Eve and.
Why would you assume that?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. Just ballpark, you know.
Nope.
Just move on.
He has a lot of like witty dialogue that kind of overlaps like the Coen brothers do. They love his stuff so much.
We know you're smarter than us.
So I'm not. I just know a lot more.
Hey guys, you guys ever seen?
You guys know where the mental weight room is?
You know where the film. I'm a film buff, so you know where the film buff weight room is.
Where's the local film studio?
Where's the local film studio?
The film was shot in Arizona, believe it or not, and only took 10 weeks to complete. the Coens and Cage had a little bit of a turbulent creative relationship on set. Cage bringing ideas for the story and specifically his character, but the Coens turned most of these down due to their particular vision contrasting with Cage's ideas. The Coens would say later that they would rather have an eccentric actor with tons of ideas than an actor who just goes along with whatever. So they liked that he was very into the story and like maybe kind of wanted to inject his own oeuvre into the story, but they were like, particularly, this is this kind of story and it's got to stay this way. Tour filmmaking. Raising Arizona was released on March 13th, 1987, and would earn $29.2 million upon its final run and more or less make the Coens who they are today. And that is what I got.
Well, we know you got at least one friend who loves this movie just as much as we do, so hit the little share icon on your podcast app, directly message the episode to him. Sharing's the best way you can support this podcast, or go to confusedbreakfast.com, buy some shirts, check us out, look at our ratings, do all that stuff, check us out on social media, or directly support this podcast at patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. 80 hours worth of bonus audio, voting on upcoming movies, private Discord channel. It's all there.
It's all there.
Pretty cool.
Go check it out. Up next, we got AJ. He did the research for us, and he's got ratings and reviews to share. What you got, man?
I got a couple of things, but you know we always start. Even though we're in a new happy little spot, we still go with the tomato meter.
Oh, my God.
Gross. 90% certified fresh on the tomato meter for Raising Arizona.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is number 16 on any movie we've ever done. That is tied with Reservoir Dogs as far as the critics are concerned.
Cool. Rezzies. That's what I call them. You know, we're on a nickname basis.
Okay.
With Q.
Yeah, yeah.
I call him Q.
Me and QT. I call him Cutie. All right, fine.
Cool, man. I thought that was a great joke.
85% audiences do definitely agree, and IMDb is going to give you a 7.3.
So that's how you know it's good, is because it's not a 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're doing okay.
That is tied with Point Break, Karate Kid, and Big as far as our friends on IMDb user ratings are concerned.
Wow.
Dang. Washington Post gave this 100 out of 100. All right. Tom Shales. You know, we always go to him when it comes to the Washington Post. Raising Arizona is a prize package and a bundle of joy, one that puts a fresh, funny face on the American comedy movie. It's as encouraging as it is entertaining. I just really wanted to start with that one because that was in 1987 when that was written.
Nice.
Some of the other ones I'm not 100% sure. I would hope that it was about that same time. But the Austin Chronicle said, the film's sense of family values will make your head hurt, and the chase scenes will set your noggin spinning. That was another 100 out of 100.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of those, actually.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But we gotta talk about the bad here,
we
too.
have to.
San Francisco Chronicle, they said, nope, 25 out of 100. Peter Stack said, the big trouble with Raising Arizona is that the Coens overdrew their wild and crazy yarn and overdo almost every gag and gimmick. Also written in 1987. This is a fun one. This is a user review, just a watcher review. 1 out of 10, 1.5 hours I'll never get back.
Yeah.
He said, Stacy, it could have been guy or girl.
Yeah.
Up there. Up is a capital for some reason. Up there with one of the worst films I've ever watched. But they don't elaborate what the other film.
What are the other
wouldn't you say down there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just all over the place.
So it's like it's one of his most hated films, but it's like almost not. So it's at the top. So it's almost to a good one.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
With a bad one.
Yeah.
You're on the mountain of shit.
Yeah.
That's what you are. But there's a lot of love for this movie out there. This is 10 out of 10. Best movie ever.
Oh.
I have watched this movie many times, and it's still the best movie ever made. Thank you.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Matthew McConaughey.
Carolman. That's Carolman. Last one here, guys. 10 out of 10. A very quirky love story. This says, I normally don't write reviews, but I have just watched this movie again after many years and felt inspired to.
Hey,
Cool.
I get it.
Okay.
The first time I saw it was when I was about 13 or 14 and made enough of an impression to last a lifetime. I think that it's one of Cage's best. He really makes a great comedy actor, paired really well with Hunter. Its chase scenes are zany and excellently shot by two guys who had the same vision. Brothers had the same vision, you're right. It was released in 87, a long time ago now, but it's aged well.
All right.
Damn.
Good job. Not a lot of bad ones.
No,
At all.
I didn't want to get caught up in the bad ones because I feel like
That's
it's
my favorite part.
well, I think it's an easy. I feel like people who just watch this movie, it's such an easy target and they all read the same.
Okay.
They all read the same. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
That would never happen.
Like, why would they do this?
Why was someone in his dream in real life too?
Thanks, Shawshank. Like,
There's
things
only
like
10
that.
rounds
Like,
in that gun, and
Yeah.
then he shot it 30 times.
It's
so
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Realistically, that car wouldn't get that much gas mileage.
Well, confused breakfasters, before we get started on the scene-by-scene breakdown of this movie, I want to give you a quick shout-out to our sponsor, Cedar Ridge Distillery. We know they're amazing. You know they're amazing.
It's true.
Likely the best whiskey distiller in the world. And you obviously know it if you bought a bottle. But I just saw an article they shared at gobourbon.com that pointed out an insane fact to prove to you if you're still on the fence. Cedar Ridge is the only craft distillery in America to be a state's #1 overall best-selling whiskey.
Okay.
I'll explain. So here's the quote. In 49 states, a major distillery produces the #1 best-selling bourbon in the state, which would be the Jim Beams, the Maker's Marks, the Jack Daniels. But that's not the case in Iowa, where Cedar Ridge has been the #1 for 2 straight years, outselling the nearest major distillery competition by 35%.
Jeez.
So you heard it here first. Cedar Ridge whiskey is the best in the world. I mean, we're saying this. We're stating this. First Iowa, next year state. You need to check this amazing company out. Stop by a liquor store near you to pick some up. If your store doesn't have it, you can order a bottle directly online at cedarridgewhiskey.com. Stop by their website, add them on social media, check them out in person in Swisher, Iowa. Tell them Confused Breakfast sent you and go grab a bottle. Just trust us.
Yep.
It's the absolute best.
I dare you.
Yeah.
I dare you to do it. I dare you. Now,
Are you looking in the camera when you say that?
I dare you.
Shit.
You could
This is
also
real.
probably, I dare you to go to cedarridgewhiskey.com.
I dare you to do that.
I dare you to drink responsibly.
I dare you to do that too.
I
Because
dare
that's
you to
hard.
move.
Yeah.
That's those two words generally don't go
Yeah.
together.
No,
So
Little reverse psychology.
yeah, I dare you to just have 2 and
That's
then
right.
go to bed.
Yeah.
Sure. I dare you. Try. I dare you. Got him.
Well, boys, what do you say we break out of the joint and clean up our acts? We may live in poverty and be forced to eat sand, but at least we'll have each other. We'll even try to do our best to stay away from convenience stores and fly straight, but it won't be easy with that sumbitch Reagan in the White House. Here we go.
Yeah.
So Herbert H.I. McDonough, also known as High, is a petty criminal with a proclivity for robbing convenience stores. He is constantly in and out of jail, but is repeatedly paroled. An unlikely romance blossoms between High and young policewoman named Ed. High proposes to Ed after his latest release from jail. They marry and begin a new life in a trailer in the Arizona desert.
Mike,
Hi.
is this maybe the best credit intro?
I don't even want to talk about it yet because
Okay.
here's how fucked up it is.
All right.
It's not even until scene 2
Yeah.
that we're talking about the opening
It's like
credits.
13 minutes in.
Yes.
It's very
So
strange.
I don't even.
We're not
I
even
would like
there.
you to hold I would like you to hold that question.
We're not
I
even
don't
there.
even want to talk about it
I
yet.
don't
That's
even
fine.
want. We haven't even talked about it.
I don't even want to talk about it. I think this movie is one of the like most catching opening. Just like right from the bat, you are just like, I want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It happened to me every time. Unfortunately, I noticed it was always just too late in the night that I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But this movie just right from the start pulls you in. It's unbelievable.
It's such rich with great characters. Like right off the bat, it's you are introduced to H.I., which I think is maybe my favorite character name. Just calling
High.
someone High. I love that so much. It makes such sense with his character even. But you're introduced and you're getting some voiceover from Cage
Yep.
himself, and it's also kind of like an unreliable narrator.
You're right, dude. I was wondering if you were going to talk about that because he just essentially, he's sort of telling us what we want to hear, kind of, right?
I think he's telling it how he sees it. I think he sees a lot of things very simply, and he sees it a lot of like dreamlike, which is cool that they have that factor in this, where he does have some dreams and they come to fruition or don't. But I do think that this is basically a Looney Tunes episode.
It kind of is.
He tells it with a bias, is
Yeah.
like what you're saying. Like a lot of the time, you'll have a narrator, and it could be the main character, but the narrator is telling you what is happening. But this narrator, is telling you from his own perspective with this glee of or this idea that he's doing right
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. I feel like I'm still doing right by this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried to stay away from the convenience stores, but you just had to. I just had to go back and do it one more time. So
Yeah.
like he's justifying it. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's almost like
His narration is justifying.
It's almost like he's sitting at the table with us right now, and we're like, "Hi, tell us about your life."
Yeah.
And he's telling us this story, and we're envisioning it
Right.
based on what he's saying.
Exactly.
Because
And-
it's so crazy.
Yeah.
We'll get there, obviously, but you know what? He's also telling it like he's an old man, and he's telling like his
know.
grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's kind of like towards the end and everything. I know, but like it's almost like the Princess Bride.
Okay.
Like he's telling his grandson this kind of fantastical,
Columbo.
somewhat true story. Columbo is, yeah. I think I see it like that. Now that we've been talking about it, I didn't even write that down.
Nick Cage was like 23 in this movie.
Yeah, he's a fucking handsome
He's
dude.
Awesome.
Dang.
I know Nick Cage is all over the map at this point. At this point in life, he's done so many things and he's become such a huge name, and then not a big name and whatever. This was just like untamed, raw
Yes.
Nick Cage before anyone even knew what the hell we were getting out of this guy. And it may honestly be one of my favorite roles of his.
I think it is. It's definitely my favorite role, bar none, 100%. I love him in Wild at Heart as well. But you see an interview with this guy, and like it's that like GQ, remembering all of his like iconic roles and characters, and going back to even this, he remembers them like they were yesterday, and he could tell you like the references that he pulls. Like he was reading this comic or something like that, and he was really influenced by this certain comic cartoon character.
Wow.
And like he's so invested, and I think that's why he's like that generation's best actor, in my opinion. I just think that he puts the craft in it way more than anybody else would. He's 100% invested in telling the story.
There's a dedication that Nick Cage gives that. And he's going to give it for better or for worse.
Yeah, he's always giving 100% no matter what.
You can't fault him. Like
once
it may
he's-
turn out good or bad. I
Once
don't
he's
know.
into what he's going to do, he is doing it.
Yeah, you watch a Wicker Man, if he's not in that movie, you're not watching that fucking movie.
Yeah.
You're not.
I just have this thing with and I don't want to call it like a love-hate. It's just like maybe it's like I have a love-disdain relationship with Nick Cage and the roles that he plays.
I think that's appropriate.
And I think that most people actually do, because by all, and I know like I say this delicately because I know you really enjoy a lot of what he does, Shaun. But every now and again, I just have this idea of like, that's just Nick Cage. You're like, he's only 23 in this movie. I'm like, could have fucking fooled me.
Yeah.
Because you might as well have been playing this role now to a degree. Because
Yeah.
Nick Cage to me is Nick Cage, no matter like.
He's an immortal being.
He's just immortal, like Paul Rudd, you know? Like he just doesn't age. And to me, and I mean this in a good way. Like he doesn't age, and then again, maybe I'm not going to mean this next part in a good way, but apparently neither does his acting. Neither does, because I feel like he would have played this role the exact same today if he had a chance to play it as he would have at 23.
Well, maybe not so much though, because like I read that since he was still so young, the Coen brothers really were able to be like, no.
They really rained on
Like,
him.
no, you can't do that. You have to stick to this. Where nowadays, not a fucking chance in the world. He's like, well, then I'm leaving.
So so since they had the opportunity to rein him in,
Yes.
and be like, and kind of and protect their thing.
Yep.
But he wouldn't have been able to. So it would have been maybe
It
more
would've been-
outlandish,
it
or
would've been even more outlandish, probably.
I bet it probably
think
would
so?
have. Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
interesting.
Because I think they obviously I don't know if you guys have seen Blood Simple, their first feature.
It was right before this, right?
Right before this. It is like a down and dirty one of the. It's like their first attempt at No Country for Old Men, pretty much.
Oh, wow.
But just maybe a little more pulpy. But it's so different. I mean, obviously, No Country for Old Men is way different than this. It's just like I said, it's a cartoon brought to life, and he fulfills that like Woody the Woodpecker kind of aesthetic very, very well.
I just love his delivery on some of this, and it goes with his delivery with the writing of this, like where he's like, he walks in, I'm walking in here on my knees, Ed, a free man proposing. Howdy, Kurt. Just
the guy getting booked.
They all know each other. It's a revolving door. Howdy, Kurt. Anyway, that's a very Big Lebowski thing too.
Yes.
Like sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes much obliged. Sometimes it's just Coen Brothers style is so brilliant.
And that's that Preston Sturgis kind of overlapping, kind of getting distracted from your main point and hitting one another, and then coming back to it. It's that kind of thing.
It's ADD characters like or scripting, like it's getting distracted by other things in the room, not staying on the focal point. It's not staying on the fact that you're proposing. You're still saying howdy to the buddy that you've been booked with before, or next to, or before or after you've seen him in prison.
And what does that do? It just adds so much more character.
It adds a lot of depth,
because in that scene he's like proposing to Ed, and he's distracted by his buddy, and that just tells you so much about him. I think we're just like, he obviously he knows that guy as we see. I don't know. I just think it's a really, really cool touch, and a really kind of hard to do dialogue bit. The guy, when he like goes to prison over and over again in this scene, the janitor guy mopping the guy, he might as well be the Random Task. But if Random Task was a criminal, he is.
Oh wait, yes.
He is
wait, so it was random.
Yeah,
is a criminal.
Fuck that guy.
Anyway,
did you hear Kevin Costner audition for the role of High?
Yeah.
3 times.
I would have enjoyed that.
I think he could have done it, but this is just Nick Cage's role.
It is.
He had to be a little unhinged kind of thing. I don't know if Kevin Costner can do that.
I would have loved to see him try.
I would have loved to see him try for sure.
I think the closest he got. Did you watch Fandango?
Yeah.
The movie with who we were just talking about? Jesus Christ.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Oh my God.
You watched Fandango?
Wait. People are still confused over last week's episode of the farting before me. They're still like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Oh, let me just put that out in the ether right now. So she says, I know everyone was thinking, like, how dare you fart before me, like in front of her.
Yeah.
But she says it like, how dare you fight before me? She puts the emphasis on before and not.
She puts the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just go back to last week's episode, and you'll be even more confused than you are now.
Kevin Costner's great.
Okay.
How about Holly Hunter in this? The Coen brothers wrote this role specifically with her in mind, right?
Mm-hmm. They wanted her in Blood Simple, and then Frances McDormand got that, and so they wanted to right that wrong pretty much and get her in this movie.
My Fiance left me.
Fiance. I love Fiance.
I love it because she is such a, like, she's so stoic, and you can tell he's winning her over, but she's not like showing anything. And then when she finally breaks down that her Fiance left her is when like he can step in and make his move kind of a thing. I really like her in this role.
She's so good.
I watched with subtitles on. And they spell, when she says finance, it's Fianse.
Yes.
That's amazing. I didn't think how they would do that.
Fiance. That was a very, very funny thing. This is one of these, and again, it's not that I want to watch movies like this. Sometimes I get caught up in it, but this is again also why I don't write IMDb reviews. Because you never know what mental state you're going to be in when you watch a movie, guys. But it's very frustrating. Doesn't like every state have like a 3-strike like thing? And he goes through it like 3 times, doesn't he?
It might have been. I think it's implied it was probably more than that.
Is more than that? Like that he's doing like armed robbery?
Well, no, but
he doesn't have bullets in the gun.
Is that what it is? Is the reason that he's not getting the whole book thrown at him is because he's never using an actual weapon?
That's what they're saying.
So, okay. So is that weird that... Does he use a gun at the end?
I don't know.
No, I don't think he does.
I don't know if he actually shoots the weapon at all.
Okay.
I think he just has them.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. And so, but again, it's like, I don't know. It's part of it that drives me a little nuts, like in watching all this happen. And Coen Brothers does this a lot, and it's one thing that I do agree with is I'm trying to think of the other movie we talked or said a similar thing. Shaun, you said a similar thing about another one. It's like, okay, we're watching this again, and here I am. I'm just watching it again, but I guess what's creative about it is that you're watching the same thing over and over. You're watching him get booked over and over again. I guess the thing you're just kind of watching for what's changing each little time, and part of that has to do with Ed, right? And so.
Don't forget his pinky, Ed.
Yeah.
Just the guy in the background. Don't forget your bouquet, Ed. At her wedding, he's there.
It's like those are the little funny things that win me back, because I feel like it's so, and I get caught between this idea of like, is this lazy or is this like extraordinarily creative?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. To be able to just use the same thing over and over again, and then add more jokes into it. I don't know. I get caught in this like kind of hard place.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna have to get over that, I think.
You're right.
Well, scene 2, High gets a legitimate job and they decide to start a family. However, Ed learns that she is infertile, and their attempts to adopt are foiled by HI's criminal history. They are devastated until they learn the news of a quintuplet sons born to Nathan in Florence, Arizona. They decide to steal one of the babies for their own. HI and Ed arrive at the Arizona home one evening and steal Nathan Jr. to take home. Feeling somewhat guilty, High dreams of an evil biker that has been set loose on the world due to his crime. You know what's amazing about this movie, Shaun, is you got the brilliant M. Emmett Walsh from Christmas with the Cranks in this movie. It's so great.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I saw him, I'm like, man, I can't wait for Christmas with the Cranks coming around this season. You know what I mean?
That's your barometer for M. Emmett Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing this on purpose, I know.
Where did we talk about that in? I don't know.
I don't
think
know.
It was whatever our last M. Emmett Walsh was. It was like, oh, yeah, you know, he's so brilliant. Shaun's like, yeah, he's in Raising Arizona. And then I was like, in Christmas with the Cranks. And he goes, I fucking hate you.
He's in Harry and the Hendersons.
Is that what it was?
I think
Yeah.
it was Harry.
I
and
think
It
the
was
you're
his
right.
dad. It was his dad. And Harry.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yes. And yeah. He's in Blood Simple too. So yeah, Christmas with the Cranks is
Is a great movie.
Yeah,
he's really good in this though. Like the stories, you're just falling into the middles of these stories, going, "What story is he telling?"
And that's Ed Parker, mind you. Just the way he's smacking his gun.
He's walking down the middle of 9 Mile. He's got his lunch in one hand and a head in the other. And you're like, Jesus, I want to know this whole story.
It's
Now
like-
I want more.
It's like High's cellmate too. He's like in the crowd as they come up. It's like M. Emmett Walsh's character, who I think is just like his coworker credited as, and then his cellmate need a podcast. Like
They
of
really
their stories, I'm just like, I will listen all day.
And the crawdads.
The crawdads, and when we couldn't eat crawdads,
We ate sand.
we ate sand.
You
We
ate
ate
sand?
We ate
We
sand.
ate sand.
We ate sand.
Everybody's accent in this movie is probably pretty much my favorite in the entire world.
I-
Everybody
Yeah.
sounds so cool.
I have to assume that, like, I imagine in my head when you're watching these movies that like Coen Brothers, whoever is directing at that point in time, just yelling cut and be like, "Can you do more accent?
Yeah.
Put more accent on it." It's like I feel like I'm doing a lot already. Just
Nope.
put more on it.
We're making fun of Arizona,
And
please.
It's like, please, just put more on it. And then they do it like a lot, and they're like, perfect. That's what I feel like is going on this entire movie.
Well, I guess the people of Arizona, even like the governor of Arizona made a statement after this came out being like, this in no way, shape, or form
Yeah.
like is Arizona, and I don't know how you could even come up with this movie. But I have heard from some people that did live in Arizona in the late 70s, early 80s that this was like rural Arizona.
Okay.
You know, and they've since been trying to get past that and be like, no, we have these wineries, and we Phoenix, Arizona, and they're like, no, you go outside of town, and this is Arizona.
Yeah, it's a little.
This is what it's like.
I've been one time, and I've been to like the major cities in Arizona, but I've also been to Tombstone, and it, as well as like it being a tourist trap, the locals are definite locals.
Yes.
And that's deep Arizona.
deep down inside.
It's such a tribute to the Coen brothers, like their writing style and the pictures they paint and the like things they try to map together. I just love the line where he's talking about how he would still drive past convenience stores that weren't on the way home.
I love that.
Like that's such a weird, like normally it's like I went past my ex-girlfriend's house even though it wasn't on the way home. He's driving past convenience stores. Just going like,
it's romantic to him.
Yeah, it's like where the car pulls up and the ex-girlfriend's light turns off in the house. This is him looking at the convenience store in the same way.
I love
amazing.
It's like an ex-smoker who just like looks at packs when he's like buying a pack of gum or something like that. Oh fuck, what could have been? I could still be doing that.
Coen Brothers has this amazing ability to make me buy into the whatever logic is being thrown at the moment. And so one of those things is when they're trying to adopt, and it's like, well, we know Haya's got a checkered past, but she's a decorated police officer twice over. And it's just like we feel like kind of balances out. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, I think that balances out.
That makes sense.
I'm
okay with that. No, I believe him. That makes sense. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And the poetry of their words sometimes, like they didn't just say that she's unable to have kids.
Yeah.
She's barren.
It's like, what does he say? He's like, her insides are more barren and rocky that can't hold my seed or whatever. It's like, you didn't have to go into that much detail. But it's beautiful how he says it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, just like, I'm barren when she comes home, and it's like it is heartbreaking.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do love when they get all packed up and ready to go to the Arizonas, Nathan, Arizona.
Right.
He's in that room, like dealing with all the babies and like picking the best one, pretty much. Like, and then
he's checking eggs at the grocery store.
Exactly. Checking the expiration date on a lot of these. But then there's a baby who's like, he got one out of the crib, and there's a baby like coming up on like the railing of the crib, and he just, I don't know if you guys know this, he pushes the baby over.
Yeah. Really?
I'm like,
oh no, I didn't see that.
I guess you would have to just do that. Like you don't want him falling out, but it like toppled him over.
Yeah.
I was like, that's awesome.
Well, and right before they do get to his house is the 11.5-minute mark, which is when the title screen finally comes up. And I think it probably never fails for anybody who's seen it a million times, or the third time I watched it, it was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, we haven't even seen a title screen yet. It's because this intro is so perfectly packed with action, setting up the story, funniness. Here we go, bam, title screen.
They're just fine with throwing you in.
It's
like
beautiful.
That. Yeah, you're right.
They didn't have to do that. They could have just been like, it's Raising Arizona, and here's the movie.
But you know that there's timing to it. It's like this smart way of making you realize, hey, we just set it up. Now we're into what we want to talk.
Here starts the movie.
Here now starts the time frame of what we're talking about.
And I think it's a testament to Carter Burwell's score too. Just the
song's so perfect.
Like it's going through that whole thing.
Yep.
And it stops maybe for like an interview with him and his parole officers and everything, but then starts right back up again as the next scene hits. And then once the title screen comes up, it's just that yodeling, and it's so rhythmic. I think that's what kind of gets you into it. In my opinion,
it's kind of a train chugging along.
Yeah, it's just
like,
oh, okay, yeah, do. And then once it gets to the title screen, you're like, I think I'm in. I think
I'll keep watching this.
I think I'll keep listening to this album. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Florence, Arizona is the site of a state prison, and it's also the name of the mother. Her name is Florence, Arizona, so it's like a weird little metaphor of her being the jail holding in, and High must break in and get Junior out. Kind of a weird thing. I don't know if that was intended or what, but it's kind of interesting.
I just want to say the funniest thing about him trying to like pick which kid, and that the fact that he actually just leaves
Well,
he's like, I don't know what to do. Is that he just kind of gave up is very funny to me.
It is
like,
pretty
like
awesome.
he's just like, I'm sorry. It wasn't even the fact like I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't take that kid. It's like I don't know what to do. Like,
sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry, man. I just didn't know which one to get. And then like her telling him to just you go back in there, you get me a baby. Like he forgot to pick something up inside the grocery store again. It's just very funny to me.
Like a pregnant woman would be like, you didn't get the right kind of ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got catsup, not ketchup. Like what the heck are you doing? You didn't get anything.
That does happen in Christmas with the Cranks when Tim Allen comes out.
We can. Well, we're putting that movie on trial.
No,
We're putting that movie on trial.
AJ loves it. I guarantee.
I
he
like
does.
that movie. You kidding?
I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's great. One of my favorite acting moments of all time, I think, is not Francis McDormand, Holly Hunter, when they're taking Nathan Jr. back home. He's like, oh, he's a little outlaw, you can tell. And she's like, I love him so much. That's like so good. I think it's like, it's at the same time comedic and cartoonish, but it's also like, obviously it seems like she really wants a baby, and I feel for her at that moment.
We all know, whether we know them and we know they're going through this or we just don't know it, there are so many people in the world that go through the trouble of infertility and like how much money people have spent to get like in vitro, and like, because it's like this is what we were bred to do, especially women, and like if they really want to do this and they can't, that's got to be one of the most unbelievably depressing things in the world, to where I'm sure people have thought the same thing that they've thought in this movie.
Sure, yeah.
To be like, it doesn't seem fair. They have 5 kids,
right,
and I can't even have one.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it like that.
I'm there again. I'm just like, you know what? I kind of believe what they're
do
good.
too.
I think it is unfair, actually. I was like, I think they're probably doing.
We're helping them.
They're probably doing them a big favor. You know what?
Look at him when he was in there. Look at him when he was in there. They were all getting away. They were all scattering. He's
Nightmare.
Like, he got one in the crib, and one's already out doing something else. You know, they did have too much to handle.
Just harsh. Yeah. You know what? Like that crib. By the way, wait. What were all
their names?
All their names, like Gary, Harry,
Larry,
and there's 2 R's and everything, and then it's just Nathan Jr.
Well, you have to.
I'm so glad.
Maybe the firstborn? I don't know.
I'm so glad that like I guess I just wish that like they thought they got Nathan Jr. and then they left all the other ones, but instead they got Larry. Yeah, I just think that would have been something funny to me, that they just picked the wrong one somehow. So now they know they picked the wrong one. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
That would have been funny.
As the father of a 3-month-old child, my first Willa, like, it's weird being a person. I'm sure a lot of our listeners understand that, of like being a male and being like, okay, here's the baby. Like, what do I do with it? So watching Nick Cage walk around the house and just be like, look at, here's the wall over there and there's the kitchen. Like, that is what I do when I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, here's my drum set and here's where Daddy records his TikTok videos. Oh, it punched me in the face. I'm like, oh shit, that's what I do. I have no clue what I'm doing.
Here's where your mom and I sit down, relax, and watch a little television. You know,
the family room, and
not too much of it though.
Right? Yeah,
unless it's football or cartoons, or some educational.
Yeah, something educational or football. It's like I don't want to deprive her. Like
All right, let's move on to scene 3 then. So the abduction of Nathan Arizona Jr. quickly becomes a local news item, and a reward is offered. Meanwhile, High's prison buddies Gale and Evel tunnel out of prison and go to H.I.'s trailer seeking refuge. High and Ed attempt to ease into normal married life and invite High's supervisor Glenn and his family over for lunch. The visit becomes more than High can bear. After an inappropriate comment, High punches Glenn and loses his job. Nice. I'd like to nominate a recasting here, but not for this movie.
Okay.
But I'd like to nominate John Goodman as, is he Gale in this movie?
Yes.
I'd like to take John Goodman's Gale breaking out of prison, and I'd like to insert him into Goro in Mortal Kombat. That was like
It's not even the first time, or it's not even the last time he
No.
does this in the movie.
it was so weird to me. I am a gigantic John Goodman fan.
Oh,
I
love him
love
so
John
much.
Goodman so much, and I forgot he was in this movie. And then to see him, the first thing I see of him is this scene where he's yelling, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love when John Goodman yells. Why is he still yelling? This is going on forever. He's still yelling. This is hilarious. Like it did one of those, like it went on too long, but then it went on just long enough to where I came back
funny
around.
because
It's hilarious.
It's funny because it went on too long.
It was amazing.
I love how he pulls
Evel.
Evel, right?
Evel, yep.
Yeah.
He pulls him out from by his ankle upside
Which
down.
is clearly just a leg. You can
It's
tell.
so good. Globs and globs of pomade.
Dude,
Holy
this
shit.
is one of the most disturbing scenes
Yes.
of the entire movie.
But it kind of makes me. Makes me want to do my hair like that once or twice and just see what happens. Like Shaun would look dope in that haircut.
Oh yeah,
With
You would
just-
look awesome.
The
And then
amount-
weird little front fill curl kind of thing. You'd look so good.
you got to do the Zuko.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, there's just so much pomade, and it's that final glop. That's the only way I could describe it. That John Goodman does on himself, like looking back over his shoulder, and then he just grabs, like, reaches in for one more, and just go right on the side, combing it in. It's just so much, guys.
So his name's William Forsythe.
Forsythe.
Bill
Plays
Sorfa.
Evel. I know he's fairly well known, right? Like,
Yeah, he's kind of dropped off quite a bit after Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects.
you know what my immediate thought was? Like my immediate role that I went to that he plays.
Blue
he
Streak.
No, he was in The Rock with Nick Cage.
That's right.
Yep,
That's
yep.
right. Yes,
Special Agent Paxton.
that's right.
And I was like, yes.
He was in a lot of these just kind of action movies. Like, he's not in Broken Arrow, but things like that.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, like Walter Hill, Extreme Prejudice. He's in that movie. And yeah, like The Rock. He's that guy.
I
He's
like
got
him
the
in this.
gruff, gravelly voice, and he's an authority figure.
Unique face. So you're like, oh, that guy.
Have you seen Devil's Rejects at
No.
all? He's pretty much the villain in that movie.
Sweet.
So good.
He looks very different from this role to The Rock, too. Like, his face has changed pretty significantly to
Yeah.
where,
He's
like,
got
wow, you're
kinda-
like an old guy.
Got kind of a moon face going on in this
Yeah.
movie. Like, he's just like and I don't know if the gap is real or not, the tooth gap, but he just does look really, really different.
There's something about him. It's a this shows, from everything I knew him as, this really shows like his depth, though. I
Yeah.
think as an actor, though.
Him and John, because this is, what was the 87 for this movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is his first Coen Brother collaboration.
And if you're talking about John Goodman, too, I believe this is like
Pretty
right,
early.
right before Roseanne, maybe.
Yeah.
I just love the writing in this, and I love both of their deliveries. Like when John Goodman's character Gale says, "Miss, I was explaining to your better half." Like there's these subtle digs that he's
Yeah.
giving this girl. I was explaining to your better half.
Yeah.
Normally that's the kind thing you say opposite version.
Other way.
You go, hey, sorry, buddy. I would like to say hi to your better half.
Yeah,
You know,
Right.
You're my buddy, but she's your better half. It's like that was flipped on its head.
It's
and
like the triangle of friends, and then once one of them gets like a serious girlfriend or something,
Yeah.
you know, the one of them gets mad or something. It's kind of fun how he plays off that.
It really
subtly,
was
very
man.
subtly.
Yeah, you very subtly.
Dude,
you can
I-
tell she doesn't like him at all.
One of the I think it's in this scene when they first get to the house or to their trailer. He's kind of like High's kind of contemplating what he should do, and I think Evel is or he says like I gotta be serious about this. I got a family to take care of now and everything like that. And Evel's like, "Hi, you're young. You got your health. What in the world would you want with a job?" I just love the way he says that, dude.
Again, you're like, you're right. You're
You
absolutely
know what?
right.
You're right.
What would you want with a job? It's one of my favorite lines of the movie.
I keep going back to the awkwardness of when all four of them are in the room
Yeah.
together,
Mm.
you know, and I guess I can see who wears the pants around here.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like John Goodman saying that kind of stuff, and then High trying to stand up. He doesn't want to though.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of the sad thing about this whole little all that whole relationship between the four of them is he doesn't really want to deal with his buddies.
Yeah.
You know, I think he knows, but he is trying to be like diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got honest company coming over now.
Honest company.
He's like, I think what Ed's trying to say is, well, you boys are wanted. So it's like, and that's the thing is, how do they continue to make normalcy out of these outrageous situations?
Yeah.
You're housing like fugitives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's normal.
but it's just like, well, you're wanted men, so it might be better if you're scarce and find yourself scarce. We don't want you getting seen too much. It's like, yeah, see, I agree with you there. I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is reasonable. You
Yeah,
know?
it's reasonable, you know?
Just for a couple nights. I swear, tonight and tomorrow, and that's it. And then he has the dream. What do you guys
Yep.
think about the dream?
Oh, the dream.
Is this of the evil
Yeah,
biker?
Randall Tex Cobb. I think what's his name?
Is Leonard Smalls.
Yes.
Leonard Smalls.
Leonard Smalls, Randall Tex Cobb, is quite possibly one of the most frightening people on screen of all time.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
They even said that the character of Leonard Smalls was created when the Coen brothers tried to envision an evil character, but not from their imagination, but one that High would have thought of.
Yeah.
And
And
that
that's-
is what they came up with.
It's so
Interesting.
deep because it's like, obviously you probably guys saw the metaphor of him being what High has to kind of get over is his like criminal outlaw ways of his just like kind of the path of destruction he's kind of laying subtly. I think that's perfect kind of metaphor for it. And to make it so outlandish is where he's throwing fucking grenades at bunnies and shit. It is so good. And driving by like lilies and they just combust.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's some sort of weird Mel Gibson road warrior
Yep.
kind of person. And he is like he just played scary people in like the
In
late
everything.
80s and early 90s.
He was
and 90s.
apparently like a pro. He almost went pro for boxing.
Really.
And apparently he had like a fight set up against like some huge heavyweight title guy that he had a shot of winning, but he got in like a bar fight 3 nights before and like got his arm broken or something like that.
Are you serious?
Like the guy that just couldn't handle it, you know, like he was just seriously an insane person is what I kind of read.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Coens
yeah.
Coens said that he was very like kind of like Nick Cage, but in the real sense, not the creative sense. He was just difficult just for the sake of being difficult.
Oh, great.
Which is why he makes for such an on-screen presence.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's not like, oh, that
Yeah.
guy's acting and he like a tough guy. It's like, no, I'm not fucking with that guy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That
He's a
guy's terrifying.
literal baby hunter.
He's got little baby
That's
shoes.
scary, dude.
Sean, did you recognize one of the FBI agents?
I sure did.
Let's see if AJ, do you recognize one of them? So when they're back, when they finally report the missing child, Nathan Jr., there's a bunch of FBI agents hanging out there asking questions. One of them was actor Warren Keith, and he was the way I know it, and I know the way Sean knows it is he was the one at the funeral home at Big Lebowski. He's like, it's our most modestly priced receptacle. Like, I saw him in the face. I go, no, oh my God, it's that guy from the funeral home.
So they're like Adam
Are
Sandler.
you the bereaved?
Are you the bereaved?
And in that same scene, I don't know if you noticed when Nathan Arizona is like, "You guys have any leads? Like, what's going on here?" The guy in the background is the cop in Big Lebowski,
Leads.
who's like, "Leads? Yeah, I'll just check with the boys now at the
We got
crime
him working
lab."
in shifts.
We gotta work it in shifts.
Same guy. I'm like, whoa, that's
I love
awesome.
that shit.
And actors working in other different movies is kind of cool.
Wait, so you're telling me an actor can play 2 different roles
I
in 2
guess
different movies?
it seems so, Mike.
Mind blowing.
Well, obviously, guys, because it's obvious it's another Coen Brothers movie. He must obviously know the Coen Brothers. I mean, obviously.
So Glenn and his family come over for lunch.
Oh my God, dude.
This whole thing. Well, first of all,
This is the worst.
did you recognize Glenn?
Yeah.
Did you? I'm looking in your direction, AJ. This is what I like to do. I like to always, for those out there that are yelling at me, like, oh, weird, another actor played another role. I like to bring up actors who are in other movies that we've done.
You know, it's fun.
It's fun.
We're creating our own universe here. Get the net.
Get the fucking net. Did you recognize Glenn at all?
I don't even think I did.
From movies we've done.
Yes, we've done a movie. I wish I wrote down.
Don't
his
look
name,
it
and
up.
I apologize. Don't look it up.
I am looking it up. But I want to
Actually,
know.
look at his face and see if you can tell me who he is.
I know who he does a very similar role in almost all of his movies. God, I cannot think. But he always kind of plays this like kind of straight shooting piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Well, not really in this movie. So he was in Christmas Vacation.
Oh, he knew it was a vacation
He was
movie.
his coworker that's like, well, have a very Merry Christmas. He's like the guy that's, what's the matter? Something wrong? Did a courier bring your bonus by? Yeah, wife said somebody brought something by the house. I don't know. Like that's totally him.
That's him.
And
yes.
it's amazing because he's not memorable in that movie. He's
No.
just the coworker. But this is like full-blown, unbelievable role of the guy
so
that you
good.
hate
Yeah.
so much. Everybody's been in that situation where your significant other or your family, it's like, hey, we got to have these people come over.
Yeah.
Like, and you just kind of go, okay, we can do this. But you just know that the guy, you just hate him so much.
He just talks so much,
Yes.
and doesn't like he asks you questions, but and like gives you a second to answer, and then takes over your answer.
Yeah.
I've known so many people like that, dude.
It's like the worst of all worlds in who he is, and then how he just like addresses everyone around him, including his family. And
which is why his kids are pieces of shit.
let's be real. Like he just like gets out and it's like, what do they say? He says, I don't know what the line is that prompts it, but then they just look over and they're just drawing all over High's car.
Fart.
They're
They
all,
go fart on the wall.
Ooh, here's a prop.
I literally want a broken off piece of wood that has fart written on it for our fucking wall. The minute I saw that, I was like, that is my prop.
Man.
And I love that kid's face when he turns around. He's like, I'm writing, yeah, what's up? I'm writing fart on this.
Fart.
Who cares?
He's like, and they say something about how he's like gotten good with like his letters or something.
He's gonna be a calligraphist.
It's so frustrating.
Oh, what's your props? Sorry to steal that one from you.
I don't know if it can be a prop, but I think I want to get that Woody Woodpecker tattoo on me.
I was gonna say, like, how do you ask for that as a prop?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I have something to tell you later that you may not want that.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
You can still get it if you want.
I'll say no just because of that,
Okay.
and to be safe and not be fucking canceled and shit.
Ugh.
You go.
Fuck yeah.
I want the booties
Oh no.
from Randall Tex Cop from
You want
Yeah.
the little
yeah,
things?
from
Okay.
Leonard
Leonard
Smalls.
Smalls.
I want the little booties he's got on his
Okay,
belt.
man.
I want
Yeah.
I want High's entire wardrobe of his Hawaiian shirts.
Ah,
Okay.
there you go.
If we were on a train
Let's
to
just
go punch
keep
a
it
face,
going.
yeah, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I've not shied away from this. I still feel strongly about this. In multiple episodes, I've said this. I'll punch a fucking kid. I'm going to take all of Glenn's kids together and just punch them in the face.
Yeah.
An equal punch, just to be like,
You
that,
know,
that
just
is,
like put their
those-
heads close together.
yes.
Put them in a line. Hit one kid really hard, and so the rest of their heads feel like a punch.
And I feel bad because this is a situation of like my wife and I were very potentially adamant about not having kids in
Yeah.
life because of this type of kid.
yeah,
And
This
this
group
movie
of
is
kids.
so perfect. And I realize more the older I get in life, it is the parents. Like, where are the fucking parents?
Yeah.
And so like I don't care. Glenn technically deserves it, but these kids are too far gone. They need a punch in the face.
man, I've known some shitty kids, and I'm with you. I'm there. Yeah, Glenn already gets his, and
he's gonna get his.
he already gets punched in the movie, so we don't need him.
'Kay.
It's his kids need it because he never did it.
Let's go 3 out of 3, baby.
Yeah. I've known kids like that, and it's like when you have a party or something, and like you invite that couple over, or like that the other couple over, or something like that, and it's like, are they bringing their kids? Yeah. Oh, fuck. Okay, but like it's the perfect like protection against getting pregnant. It's the most effective way to see
to have friends with shitty kids.
those shitty kids jump all over your fucking furniture, draw fart,
Hitting your car with a stick.
throw,
Yeah.
just throwing Jello at your face. I've been there, and I don't want that.
Yep.
It's true. There's like, there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood, and I already know there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood, in the neighborhood that like my wife and I live in, and you already know who like the nice kids are and who the ones who just need to get punched. You know, and like I'll be sitting there and I'll just be like casually working on my pool, and I'm kind of having a nice morning or whatever it is. You're just doing whatever, and I'm doing some yard work, and then you just hear, "No, give me it, no, would you get in here, no." That's just want to. Just deck some kid, you know.
I've come out of AJ's house before, and some kids hitting my truck with a stick.
Yeah, that's why I equip you guys with squirt bottles now. Like at one point or another, you just come and spray them. Yeah.
That's so. Glenn proposes. It turns out they're basically just swingers.
Yeah.
And he's just flat out just being like, we should wife swap.
Yeah.
So Glenn doesn't want to get with High. He just wants to switch wives.
Yeah.
And Glenn is his boss.
It's his boss.
That's super weird, bro. Like it's just like
that kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
just
same.
to be like at this, and I'll make it noted. But by about this point in the movie, I'm like, I haven't seen this pretty much. Like,
yeah.
This is all new for me. So I was just like, geez, what?
Yeah.
Almost to where you got to rewind it. And go, what did he say?
Yeah. And even in the thoughts of like movie land or whatever, but then for some reason, I hadn't like put it together like on my first watch. Like, I didn't put it together like, oh, that's his boss. I thought it was like a coworker or something at best. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like this weird eliciting thing of like trying to coerce like your subordinate into doing this and whatnot. You're like, this is
What response do you expect?
absolutely psychotic.
Get your damn hands off my wife.
Yeah.
I love that line. I love his whole, like, he's carrying his sandals for some reason, or his shoes or something, his good shoes.
Yeah.
That he uses the horseshoe to slip into.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, but like he's like just a hateable person in general, just because he's like, we got like 6 kids and Dottie wants another, but on account of my semen, I can't have one. He just casually
tossing that in.
And wait, what? Well, and Frances McDermott plays that shitty wife really well too, because you hate her guts too. It's harder for us to imagine because we're just like, just some annoying lady, but like we're hating Glenn because of the male perspective. Like, God, this guy never shuts up about a shit. But then Frances McDermott plays the like, oh, this just because you have kids, you know more than I do. And do you get your dip shot? Do you get your dip shot?
You gotta get your
gotta
dip
get
check.
your dip check. Gotta get your dip check. Like
Yeah.
the overbearing. That's like, well, we do this and we do this and you need to do this and no, you're doing that wrong. Like, I'm learning more about that from my wife now. Like that's a whole nother perspective of you hate that person.
Yeah.
From the female perspective of telling you how to better mother your child.
Do we have a pediatric yet? We got to get a pediatric tomorrow.
That's the thing. And then putting the amount of like this epic concern on it is the other thing of do we have that? We don't have. Oh, you don't have that?
Ugh.
When you have a conversation and you feel compelled to be like, you don't have this in place already.
It's the same thing as like, I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs. You haven't seen Reservoir Dogs? It's like, all right, I'll do it on my
I'll
own
get
terms.
there.
And then you
It's
get on
my
your phone.
kid,
You're just
shut
like,
up.
I'm gonna rent it for you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give this to you, and we're just gonna let you take care of this.
You watch it tonight. You get that dip tet today.
Yeah.
So scene 4, Ed loses his patience and robs a convenience store with Ed and Nathan Jr. in the car. Or sorry, not Ed loses his patience. High loses his patience, robs the convenience store. A police chase ensues and they get away. Ed is furious and High decides to leave the family behind and rob a bank with Gale and Evel. The following morning, Gale and Evel find out that Nathan Jr. is stolen and they tie up High and plan to return Nathan Jr. for the reward money.
This, now what commences, is one of the best scenes in cinema history, in my opinion, of all time. Is this when he goes to rob the place again for Huggies and whatever you got in the cash register. I think that this is one of the most like epic set pieces in like a comedy or anything of all time. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you're talking from the minute the first gunshot happens and Ed's all pissed off to like
that son bitch.
That son bitch. To the cop chase, the backyard with the dog, into the grocery store, like the whole thing's unbelievable.
Yeah. I think it's the way that it's filmed, and especially like earlier when in a dream sequence as well, when the camera's like rushing and going over certain things, it goes over the hood of the car and like into the window of the mom screaming. It's so Sam Raimi, Evil Dead, and it's because Joel Cohen was influenced by Sam Raimi because he edited a little bit of Evil Dead. And so he took that a little bit into this movie, especially with like the handheld camera running through the house with a cop. It's just so well staged and such a good comedy set piece. Like everything about this is just so outlandish and funny. Just shooting willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like especially the cops just blasting away.
How do you take all the tropes of a chase and throw it all in and then just make it clever?
Yeah.
You know? Cuz it's not clever. And like none of this is it's not clever in any way. And like well no, it's not clever. None of it's clever. It's just well done. It's just cleverly done. And that's the biggest thing about it, about this whole chase scene, about it when it just starts out that Ed decides to bail, and so he's got to chase after her, and then the cops are chasing high, and that everything ensues afterwards. It's all tropey, and it's not clever, but somehow they make it clever.
Yeah.
Does it go along with the thought that we're assuming this is High telling a story and being like, yeah, you'll never believe it. The clerk shot twice behind me and missed, and the cop came flying over the hill and he was shooting and unloading guns, and they hit me right in the Huggies. Like, you know, it's like it's all unbelievable, but it's like almost like he's telling the story of it.
Yeah. And I especially love that they set that up too, where he gets the Huggies blasted out of his hand or his arm, and that's what they came there for in the first place. Then when she picks him up, they're arguing in the car. You know, everything's changed. It's like, well, honey, I think you need to take my feelings into some discriminatory kind of thing. And oh, turn here. Just left it. Anyway, I think you know, like I've been in the correction facility. Oh, take it right here, honey. I love that. And then he scoops up the Huggies. He's like, well, it ain't Ozzy and Harriet. I think it's just the perfect. I think it's on par with when we hopefully do cover Boogie Nights, the scene where they go and try and sell the coke.
Yeah.
If people know what I'm talking about, I think it's just brilliant.
It's very true though. Like when you're in a relationship and stuff, and you are like driving somewhere, or you're going through things, or like you're trying to figure something out, and like one of you's kind of like heated about something, but then you're like because in a car nowadays, especially not back then, obviously, but like nowadays, one's the driver and one's the navigator.
Yes.
Okay, and like the navigator will be like, well, if this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna go up to, you know, your buddy's place, your friend's place, and this is your turn.
Yeah.
Yep, this is your turn. I'm not going to sit there and just sit around and do nothing and like feel awkward because I want to drink a beer or something.
You know I don't like that.
Take a right on this though.
Oh yeah, sure.
Take a right.
I love this song.
Yeah, take a right. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Turn that
No,
up.
you're right. There, like especially with a couple.
Yeah.
They're the passenger.
There's this balance.
There's the passenger and the driver, and then in between them is this being of energy.
Yeah.
Of one of them being the navigator, the other one being the driver, and the navigator. Like, no, you can't navigate because I'm driving. I know what I'm doing. I don't need directions. There's this just like
and now
push and pull.
Now there's a baby in between them.
And you allow yourself to not let like you being upset take away from the fact that you are trying to get to a place.
Yeah,
so we do need to get there.
We're
but
trying to
you
make
need
good
to
time.
understand my point, but you do need to take a left.
Lights right.
Not this light, the next light.
During that chase scene, when they go through the grocery store, you hear the main theme of the movie playing through the speakers.
Yeah,
of the grocery
I love
store.
that.
Such a Coen Brothers touch right there.
Yes,
because we talked about it in Big Lebowski. Basically, all the music played in the movie is coming from some source,
right?
Some sound system source, kind of a thing. And they almost did that in this too.
It just is more engrossing, really.
Yeah.
Like, and it's also kind of more cartoonish because they would do that in a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like if there was like a tussle and a fight, and they like randomly like went into a grocery store or like an elevator, then it'd be playing over like the elevator, but elevator music type. Now, you know, it would do that same exact thing.
Yeah.
You also got in this whole thing, you got the funny Gale and Evil are out doing some stuff, and they Evil especially, he's talking to the guy about the balloons. And he's like, hey, these blow up in funny shapes at all? Well, well, no, unless round is funny.
Unless round is funny.
Just the subtle bits of dialogue in this movie are really what I think makes it for me.
Yeah. 957, 956. I couldn't count for a second.
The fact
955.
when he says, you know what, he's like, face down on the ground, count it 825.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and I'm going to be back in 5 minutes to make sure you're still counting. Keep you honest.
They actually come back.
And
goes, fuck it.
on accident, they do come back. He's like, no, they ain't going to come back.
Oh, hell with it.
Oh.
And right after John Goodman's screaming scene again.
Dude, oh yeah, wait, does he scream again at that point?
Because they left the baby, and that's why they came back.
Wait, no, they haven't taken him yet. Have they taken the baby yet?
Yeah, that would be it.
When they're pounding the dashboard, that's probably the funniest thing in the movie for me. When they realize that they left him behind, they're just going, oh, and he just pounding the I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard.
I love it. It's so John Goodman.
It is, and it's hey, we just want you guys to do this we want you to do this for 60 seconds straight.
Yeah.
Just do this for 60 seconds straight.
Keep going.
And just keep going. And we're going to take the best 18-second stretch of you doing this. And that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I love it so much because you can feel it at one point or another that it's like they are really trying to keep this going, but they're doing it, and it's great. It's very, very funny.
It's so good.
What's the quote that he says to, again, if you're talking about these minor details where they're holding up the dudes at the bank?
Yes.
And he's like, all right, everybody freeze, everybody down on the ground. Well, which one is it?
Which one is it, son?
He goes, if I get down on the ground, I won't be frozen anymore.
Frozen
I just want to know which one you want me to do. And then he goes, where'd the tellers go? We're on the floor like you told us to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just shows their incompetence completely.
One of my favorite lines of any movie, honestly, is when he's doing that, and it's like, get on, freeze it, get on the floor. So, well, which is it? Get on the floor. Okay, then. I love that old man. Okay, then.
Just wanted to verify. All right, so final scene. Meanwhile, Nathan, Arizona, is increasingly frustrated with the local authorities. He hires Leonard Smalls to find Nathan Jr. Gale and Evil rob the bank with Nathan Jr., but realize they left him behind at the bank as a dye pack explodes in their car. Ed and High nearly rescue Nathan Jr., but Leonard Smalls gets there first. High is victorious over Smalls in the ensuing fight. Nathan Jr. is returned to Nathan Sr., and no charges are pressed. That night, High dreams of the future.
Mm-hmm. I love when Smalls comes and visits Arizona. He's walking through his furniture store and lights a cigar. And then you see that scene and it cuts away to like someone's reaction and it cuts back to him and the cigar is like almost gone. Could be continuity, but I believe that he sucks down cigars that fast. He's that kind of man, I think.
Scary.
Yeah. Talk.
Sorry, I thought I heard something. I was like listening like really hard. I'm so sorry.
Let's talk about Leonard Smalls. I need to know, Shaun, I'm sure you've dove deeper on this than I have. Who is Leonard Smalls? Like, why the baby shoes? Is this? I read a few things. Is this Nathan Jr. coming back from the future to kill High for giving him the worst life ever, for keeping him and because Nathan Jr. is not going to work out. He is not going to work out with this couple.
Mm.
So is this him coming back from the future with his baby shoes and the same woodpecker tattoo to kill his father? Is this just the evil side of High, that when High finally kills him, he now is on a path to righteousness? Like, what is this? What is this a metaphor for? Or is this a real thing?
I think that both of those are super interesting. I think the one that's kind of on the face, the metaphor is that it's High trying to kill his his criminal past
Yeah.
and that way of life for him to try and be a better man for Ed. But I never thought about or read the other thing where it was Nathan Jr. coming to get him.
Or it
And
was his dad. It was High's dad or something like that.
Maybe.
You know, like.
I think it's really cool, but like the tattoo gives a lot away.
Yeah.
Actually or raises more questions than anything. That if it is like him, but it like his criminal kind of being instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think it could be anyway.
Yeah. I think it's like I when I watched this the first time, I kind of got caught in between of when he was having his dream about Leonard Small,
Right.
essentially. But then, and so what I heard is like, and what I put together in my head is what the first thing you said, that he is like coming back from the future, or like Nathan Jr., it like coming back to like for revenge.
Right.
Because of this. And that's literally what I put together in my head, thinking like, oh, he's having a bad dream about the future or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and now it's like incarnate.
Okay, so here's this. Here's an alternate movie. And if that's the case,
Yeah.
and it's Nathan Jr. coming back to get kind of revenge on High,
Yeah.
what if High and Ed's actual son, like say they eventually she eventually got fertile and then could have a son or daughter. Say that son or daughter from the future knows that Nathan Jr. is going to be coming back to the past.
Yep.
And then you get Arnold Schwarzenegger hired to come in as the kind of buffer between the two. So he is defending High as an old man against Nathan Jr. as Randall Tex Cobb.
Okay.
I'd like to
So-
see Randall Tex Cobb and Arnold go against each other.
I
Boom.
want that to be set up.
So it's actual son and fake son. Like say
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the baby that Ed and High were born to.
To the theme of Bad to the Bone.
Yes.
There we go. We just won, guys. We just figured it out. We wrote a movie.
Raising Arizona
Guys.
2,
Yeah.
Judgment Day.
Genesis.
Salvation. So Shaun, I was bringing up earlier. Then this is where it could be with the Woody Woodpecker tattoo. So I read that was like a tattoo of the Peckerwood gang, which is very like racist, white supremacy type southwestern U.S. gang, which is interesting because he doesn't have it when he first goes to jail. His sleeves are all down, but then he leaves jail. And then when he gets picked up again the second time, his sleeves are up. And he's got that tattoo. It's almost like but then he'll go into public and he won't show the tattoo at all.
Yeah.
But when he's home, he's got like wife beater type thing on and it's all out and stuff like that. So it very well could have been that when they see each other's tattoo, they know that maybe they're in the same gang or something. Yeah, it's really hard to say because they really don't explain anything. They're just like, yeah, they have the same tattoo in a different location.
Yeah, it could be just like him going into prison or jail and like having to fit in with a certain set of people or something, and that he had to kind of fit in with the white supremacists. Unfortunately, I don't know. It's maybe not fun to think about this time, but interesting.
But it also said apparently that was similar to a car logo.
Yeah.
But the video I watched, we might have watched the same one. It was a guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
I wish I had written it down, but he's like, but it would be a symbol of like somebody who's like really into cars and a gearhead. But High is definitely not. He has no concern for vehicles or cars or
No.
anything. So yeah, right. It's just sort of a thing.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead, man.
I was just gonna take it into, well, I was getting already to kind of the showdown,
Yeah,
of
do it.
of everything, and I just like that. I like Evelyn Gale, and I just I love how they're infatuated with this kid now, and they want to. they're so drawn to the kid. Like, I'm gonna give him the best life. He's just gonna be like, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna have all this money. We're gonna. He's like, I love that little boy. I love that kid. And then
Cale?
wait, where's the kid at? It's like, no. And they go right back again to the whole bank thing.
I think he smiled at me.
He smiled at me.
They're brothers, right? In the movie, they're supposed to be brothers. Yeah.
I agree. But it's also like if you're angry about an issue or something like that, or just like have a lot of stress in your life, how can you not smile like seeing a puppy or like a cute fucking baby?
Yeah.
Just like laugh at you or smile at you. You know, I get it.
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time. I'm like,
yeah.
Fucking taxes, dude. I can't. I need money. I need to get money.
Yeah.
And then I see a cute baby. I'm like, everything's fine.
We're fine.
Everything's fine.
There's nothing wrong with the world.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, there still is.
There still is. The fight with Leonard Smalls was awesome. Pulling that pin, like that's such a. If you, like you
classic.
Yeah, having not seen the end, it gripped me to be like, oh no, he's gonna die. He's got the fucking pin. Like it was a beautiful moment to know that was not happening, and then to see it happening.
Yeah,
and see that he is killable and he does die. And
yeah.
What do you think, Shaun? Like, explain to me what happens in the end here. Like, what do you think this ending is symbolizing? Do you think this is real?
I think it like because he's such an unreliable narrator. I think it puts it up. I think it simultaneously says it in the movie. Like you can believe what he says. You can. Like, they became an old couple and got a bunch of kids, and then their kids got a bunch of kids and brought him over all the time. But since he's an unreliable narrator, I think you can even kind of put in, well, maybe that didn't happen, and maybe they did break up, and they're not together anymore, and he's maybe telling this to like a cellmate. You know, maybe this is like an in prison story or something like that. Like he never did change. I think it's whatever you kind of want. I like to believe that it's happy, and that what he's saying is real to some sort of degree. You know, like they maybe did stay together and eventually got a child somehow.
What do you think? Well, because like they really couldn't have. You know, like they wouldn't let them adopt anyone. She's barren. So like, what do you think of the fact of this being true? But that's not Ed. Like Ed was clearly like,
yeah.
Now, in fact, there's a moment when they're hanging out with Nathan Sr. and they return the kid, and Nathan Sr.'s like, oh, you know, just give it some thought, sleep on it. And he even goes, Hi says something like, well, we were both being really selfish or something like that. And Ed like visibly turns her head in disgust when he says that. It's a quick thing. She already said she doesn't want to be with him anymore. She's clearly not going to get over this. So what if they do break up? And what if Hi meets another woman and this is his future? The height difference on them is pretty considerable.
Yeah.
And the two old people at the end are almost the same height. So like what if it's just different and it's just not Ed?
I think
we did watch the same video.
Did we?
I think
we need to try to credit him somehow because it's a really great video. I'll figure it out while
you're
talking.
That's very valid. As a person who didn't see this video, like I think that's very valid because I thought for sure that they were going to be done with each other, the way that Ed was talking.
Yeah.
And that it was just going to be like that was going to be it for them. You know, I don't know.
It makes the most sense that Hi just can't really change. Well, for now at least, it makes a lot of sense. But just because this movie is so fantastical and cartoonish, I side more towards the fact that it's up in the air and maybe more on the side of that they're kind of happily together now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
The title of that video, if you want to dive deeper, it's about 20 minutes long. It is from a channel called Subtext and Symbolism. Raising Arizona Analysis, his woodpecker tattoo is what it says.
Okay.
It brings up a lot more stuff than the woodpecker tattoo, as we're talking about right now.
Correct. Like all that was some stuff that he definitely pointed out.
It's very in depth, and if you look at the comments, you have a lot of sympathy for him because people are like, "You're an idiot. This means this, and you're not this." Yeah.
Screw that.
Yeah.
Hate that shit. Well, what do you think? Anything else you want to talk about? You want to wrap it up?
No.
All good.
All right, we have dissected this with a modern eye. It's time to give us our modern day ratings. AJ, what do you think about this thing, man?
Come on now.
So here's the thing. This is a tough spot, I think, for somebody who hadn't seen the movie up to this point, right? Especially with seeing plenty of other Coen Brothers movies. This is one of those. It's like, okay, it's obviously earlier than anything else I think I've seen from them, and so it makes it kind of tough to watch it so critically, because I want it to be better, because the Coen Brothers, like I've said before, they have this really interesting way about making the fantastic seem very normalized, and vice versa, actually. Making the very normal things seem very fantastical. And so, but watching this, I had a really tough time letting myself fall into the fantastic side of it, because I was like buying in so much because of the way it's filmed, the way it's presented, and the way. Do I enjoy the storyline and everything? And I think most Coen Brothers usually end up just slightly better than where they started, right? And I think that they did, and so it's just really tough. It's a really, really hard movie for me to like think about like that way. So in the end, I think I'm going to give this movie, a 6.9.
6.9. Or Shaun, what about you, man?
Noted. Valid.
Yeah.
I just think that this movie has so much energy and such gravitas as to what we're going to see later from the Coen Brothers. But judging it on its own, I think its influences, like Preston Sturges and even Sam Raimi, show so high with everything, with the characterization, the plot, any twists there may be, just characterization of random people. I think Coen Brothers do very well, like even the bank tellers and everything. The guy who's like, okay, then, like, they have such character. The whole world of the movie is so rich, and they always do that. And I think this is my favorite iteration of one of their worlds. I just think it's such high energy. I think it's my favorite Nick Cage performance. I think all the performances are pretty much flawless. Although I did think this was a perfect movie the first time I saw it, towards the end, it does. I'm glad it is wrapping up. I do feel it a little bit. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Wow.
9.5 from the Shauner. I'm so glad that you brought this one up, Shaun, because you're right. Like, had you not made me watch it, it might have been a while till I watched this. And this is a fantastic movie, especially as someone who just had a child. And, like, the ending, the whole movie's amazing. Like, I love the dialogue. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. Cool story. Great scenes. But, like, the ending really, really affected me because, like, you know, you're watching this, like, the whole reason that my wife and I decided to have kids was for the large future, was to be that grandma and grandpa sitting at a table and being like, wow. Yeah. You know, and I think that's the dream of everybody, is when you realize when you're having kids, is like the long-term effects from making that struggle decision. And, like, man, I choked up big time, like major tears at the end of that movie. And it's just because I hope it worked out. I hope that was real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting into that world, and so I'm an 8.1 for me, which is actually pretty high. It may sound a little low, but that's top 15 for me in movies we've done. So that is an 8.17 for us as a overall rating. If you want to go, that is wow, that's number 16 on our list. That is just below Jaws, just above Big. Is where we put that movie.
All right.
Wow.
How do you feel about that, man? You feel good about that?
Yeah, I feel great about that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was gonna say I felt very similar on you. Like,
you
rewatch
this in like 5 months, and you'll feel a lot different about it.
I imagine I
think you will.
I imagine I probably will, and like that is, again, that's the whole, like what you said at the end. I was very similar and exact thought that I had in my own way too. So
this is why I kind of brought this movie to the table, because I bought this movie for my brother when he was having his first child, and it just the joy of it. Yeah. Because the whole tone of it is just kind of joy to me.
It's very joyous, even though the subject matter is pretty fucking dark.
He probably didn't watch. I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he'll fuck me up for saying this, but he probably didn't watch it. But I do think it's apt when that happens to you.
Yeah, man. Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for being here. Tune in next Wednesday for another great episode. We are hitting Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, yeah.
Followed by a very special episode that we're not just going to talk about quite yet. And if you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year, The Mighty Ducks.
Oh.
That was actually technically the movie that inspired me to call you guys to do this podcast.
Okay.
I think we
Wow.
even talked about it on that. Funny episode. We also got a voicemail. Call us at 319-804-9596. Here is today's episode.
Hey guys, this is Nick Fulkerson.
What's up,
Long-time
buddy?
listener, first-time caller. Just listened to the Austin Powers episode, and that's probably my favorite one so far.
Dang.
Big fan, love the podcast. I know y'all must have it on y'all's list, but I'm excited to hear the movie that launched his career, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura. Probably one of my favorite movies of his. There is an article on millennials that are offended by it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested in hearing y'all's opinion. Keep up the good work. Okay, bye.
Thanks, man.
I
Good to
had
hear
to-
from you.
Apparently, Nick wasn't listening too close a couple episodes when we're like, we're doing Ace Ventura. Maybe he didn't finish the episode.
Well,
but
now we're doing it for you.
we're doing it just for you. We're
Yeah.
going to add this on and we're going to hit it here next week. So, AJ, how can everybody check us out as we get out of here, man?
Well, make sure you guys leave us a review. Drop us a line on any podcast platform you're listening on. And anywhere on social media, Confused Breakfast. But you can get to all of the pertinent links at confusedbreakfast.com.
You can go to that same link, confusedbreakfast.com, and get some of our merch. You get some shirts with our logo on it. You get some shirts with our sayings, damn dang it, anything like that. I think there's even hats up there now is what I saw.
You can get it all.
You can
I
get a
think you get
hat
shower
there. You can get a
curtains.
a shower curtain. You can get your own wall.
You can get your own wall.
Take it away, Mike.
Pretty cool. Also, if you want to support this podcast, first of all, just share it to a friend. Secondly, join us on patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. Bonus episodes, movie votes, private Discord service. Go do it.
Do it.
I think I'm going to say sayonara, suckers.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's my catchphrase
That's
now,
fine.
I think.
Goodbye.
I think that's my
I guess.
catchphrase.
All right.
Okay, goodbye. All right.
Keep your damn hands off my wife.
Yeah.